Welcome back, you guys. This is your second stimulus check update and second stimulus package update for Tuesday, October the 20th. I hope you guys are doing very well today. I've got an update from Nancy Pelosi that I definitely wanted to share with you guys. I'm not sure if you guys had an opportunity to hear about it, but there is actually language in this letter that came out from Nancy Pelosi on Sunday, written to her constituents within the House of Representatives about not only the stimulus checks to the American people, the stimulus package, and the upcoming agreement that she is very optimistic, by the way, that the House of Representatives and the White House will agree on within the next 48 hours or so. But there's actually language in there about hazard pay. There's actually language in there about essential workers, hazard pay. And so I definitely wanted to share this with you guys because it is the first time that I've heard any mention within legislation about hazard workers, essential workers receiving the pay that they definitely deserve. And also reading this letter, it kind of gives me a little bit more insight in terms of, where Nancy Pelosi's coming from in terms of the negotiations. I have definitely been very hard on her lately, almost as hard as I've been on Mitch MCConnell back in the summertime when it seemed like he was holding things up. But you guys know me, I'm not, Democratic or Republican, I'm pretty much down the middle. I will go in on whoever I feel like is holding things up for the American people. But anyway, this letter gave a lot of insight and I definitely wanted to share that with you guys. But if you guys haven't already, definitely go ahead and hit the like button on this video. It helps me out. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, go ahead and do so. I want to say welcome back, of course, to all my subscribers. And for those of you guys who are brand new here, my name is Ron. We cover all things personal finance, investing, and how to generate more money. So if you're interested in any of that, be sure to like this video and definitely subscribe to the channel. And if you haven't already, check out my free financial freedom masterclass video, link in the description. It's got 40 minutes of amazing content that I put together, and it's got 3 secret financial hacks that you can implement into your lives immediately. So anyway, let's jump into the letter from Nancy Pelosi. So this letter was written to her constituents on Sunday. Now, keep in mind, she put a 48-hour deadline in place for the White House to come to an agreement. And ultimately, what that deadline means is, if they don't come to an agreement within the next 48 hours, then they would not be able to get a stimulus package passed before the November 3rd election. So anyway, let me go over this letter with you guys. So again, this is from Nancy Pelosi to the House of Representatives. She says on Friday, the number of virus infections reached a staggering 69,000 cases, the highest daily number in months. As infections soar and deaths increase, we must urgently act to protect the lives and livelihoods of American people. The virus relief negotiations proceeded over the weekend with Secretary Mnuchin sending awaited language on testing. While there have been some encouraging news, much work remains. She said that the White House had assured Democrats that they would accept our language on testing with a light touch. Unfortunately, as the committees of jurisdiction review the White House's language provision by provision, it has become clear that these changes are not a light touch, but instead a deep dive. So basically what she's saying is that the White House said that they were going to make some minor tweaks. I think that the language that Steve Mnuchin used the other day was light editing. But anyway, apparently there wasn't light editing being made in the language in the stimulus package, and that there was a lot more, taken out and, kind of modified than what was verbally discussed between the two negotiators. So she says that these unacceptable changes include, but are not limited to, the White House's refusal to commit to a science-based national plan for testing, tracing, and treatment to crush the virus. She loves saying crush the virus. I don't know what it is about crushing this virus. Anyway, the White House has removed 55% of the HEROES Act's language for testing, tracing, and treatment. Especially disappointing was the elimination of measures to address the virus's disproportionate and deadly impact on communities of color. The White House does not appreciate the need to direct resources to culturally competent contact tracing. Instead of recognizing the need for a strategic plan, they have changed words including shall to may, requirement to recommendation, and strategic plan to strategy. These changes make the funding a slush fund of the administration, which may grant or withhold rather than a prescribed funded plan to crush the virus. It is important to note that the impact in terms of the disparity facing communities of color, a Latino child is 8 times more likely to go to the hospital because of the virus than a white child. and a black child is 5 times more likely. We want all of our children protected. Children are further affected negatively in the White House's refusal to expand the child tax credit, child and dependent tax credit, and the earned income tax credit, while continuing tax benefits for some of the wealthiest in America. This is especially disappointing in light of reports that this weekend that poverty has grown by 6 million in the past 3 months as CARES benefits are exhausting, meaning that 8 million Americans are now living in poverty. Our proposal would reduce childhood poverty significantly. Children are shortchanged by the refusal of the administration to increase the child care provisions. If children are not able to go to school, then parents are not able to go to work. Childcare is therefore essential. At the same time, everyone wants children to go back to school safely. This takes money, and the Republicans are falling short on what is needed to provide this separation, ventilation, sanitation, and especially funding for teachers and support staff to ensure this to happen. This takes money, and the Republicans are falling short on what is needed to provide this separation, ventilation, sanitation, and especially the funding needed for teachers and support staff to enable this to happen. Funding for schools comes largely from state and local governments, and the administration continues to fail to meet the well-documented need for funds to protect frontline workers. I hope you guys are paying attention to this. They fail to meet the well-documented need for funds to protect frontline workers in healthcare, first responders, sanitation, transportation, food workers, teachers, and others. And so others is kind of broad. I wonder how much more coverage this covers in terms of, the different fields of occupation where she says others, and to prevent service cuts to struggling communities. So I really want to highlight this section here because this is the first time in a very long time that I've heard any conversation or, any discussion, especially not in written form, with regard to providing funding for frontline workers, for essential workers, hazard pay. We've heard about all of this once or twice before, when the CARES Act was being passed, but we really haven't heard very much of it since. So, if Nancy Pelosi can pull this off where there's an agreement and, they can get, the White House on board, and potentially, Trump can get the Senate Republicans to also vote on this. If we can get stimulus checks out to the American people, unemployment insurance benefits restored, hazard pay to essential workers, this could be something, especially if all of this was retroactive. And I've seen the reference to, retroactive pay used a number of different times. So if they can make this happen here, this could be something. Now, the concern that President Trump brought up a number of different times is that he believes that Nancy Pelosi is kind of like stonewalling, because he's convinced that, if she passes a, stimulus package before the election, it's going to actually help his chances to win. And so, there's the politics game there. Obviously we have to wait and see how this is going to play out. But, I just wanted to kind of mention that, since that is a legitimate concern, from a strategy standpoint within the political space. So anyway, the letter goes on to say, sadly for our country, the administration wants to undermine the census unless we can act legislatively. The administration and the president's appointees to the courts have decided in his favor to hold up the count in the census. At the same time, the administration refused to allow time for the count, once hopefully resumed, to be accurately reported to Congress. Now, the reason why the census would be important, because it kind of substantiates the need for the amount of funding if they know how many people in a given area actually need it. These are a few of the issues that were discussed this weekend, but they are not exhaustive of our concerns. We are hoping to find some common ground. I'm optimistic that we can reach an agreement before the election. That's very good news. She's optimistic that we can reach an agreement before the election. To that end, we are writing language as we negotiate the priorities so that we are fully prepared to move forward once we reach an agreement. Updates will be ongoing as our chairs continue to review language for liability and OSHA, small businesses, healthcare providers, and elections. Hopefully, we will have more progress to report on our conference call tomorrow. Thank you to our leadership, and stay safe. So anyway, guys, that's the full update. That's the full letter from Nancy Pelosi that she wrote to her constituents on Sunday. It gives us a lot of insight in terms of where she's been standing, and, kind of like, from a negotiation standpoint, gives us some insight on, why she has been so firm on the numbers It seems like she's actually got some legitimate points here. I know I've been hard on Nancy Pelosi over the last month or so, but maybe there's some things, of substance here, and maybe it's not just her trying to keep President Trump from winning an election by preventing a stimulus package to be passed. Sometimes I wonder if we'll ever really know the truth. But anyway, this is all that I have to share with you guys on this particular video. I thought it was important, so I wanted to share with you guys. If you guys got any value out of this video, do your boy a favor and smash the like button if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel if you're interested in additional stimulus check updates, learning how to invest and manage your money properly, and personal finance. I cover all those things on this channel. And I wish you guys the best. Take care and stay safe.